The Galactic Military Academy's combat simulation chamber hummed with anticipation. 200 of the galaxy's finest cadets from dozens of species stood in formation, their various anatomies creating a bizarre but impressive array of warriors in training. The hulking Krathari with their chitinous armor, the graceful Zephyrians with their elongated limbs, the cybernetically enhanced Vex, all waiting for the final examination that would determine their ranking in the Academy's most prestigious program. Ryan Chen adjusted his standard-issue combat suit, feeling decidedly average among the alien powerhouses surrounding him. As one of only 3 humans in the program, he'd grown accustomed to being underestimated. His girlfriend Emma Rodriguez stood 2 positions to his left, her dark eyes focused and calculating as she surveyed the massive obstacle course that materialized before them. The course was a nightmare of moving platforms, energy barriers, automated defense systems, and combat drones, all designed to test every aspect of a cadet's training over the span of 30 grueling minutes. The top 10 finishers would earn positions in the Elite Guard, the galaxy's premier peacekeeping force. Instructor Vasqueath, a towering meridian with crystalline skin that reflected the chamber's lights, stepped forward. His voice boomed through the translator system, carrying the weight of absolute authority. "Cadets, this is your final examination. You will navigate the Crucible using any means at your disposal. Your performance will be measured by completion time, style points, and overall tactical efficiency." The course record stands at 11 minutes and 43 seconds, set by Cadet Zorthak 3 cycles ago. A massive Krathari near the front chittered proudly, his mandibles clicking in what Ryan had learned was their equivalent of a smirk. That had to be Zorthak, the Academy's golden boy destined for great things according to every instructor. You may use standard weapons, environmental hazards, and tactical cooperation with other cadets. However, Vasqueath's crystalline features shifted to something resembling amusement. Extra credit will be awarded for creative solutions. Ryan glanced at Emma. She was studying the course with the intensity she usually reserved for quantum mechanics homework. Something was brewing behind those calculating eyes, and Ryan had learned to trust that particular expression.
"Positions!"
Vasqueath commanded. The cadets spread out along the starting line. Ryan found himself sandwiched between a Vex warrior, whose cybernetic enhancements hummed ominously, and a Zephyrian whose natural grace made every movement look like a dance. Emma had somehow maneuvered herself to the far right edge of the formation. "The timer begins when I give the command," Vasqueath announced. "You have 30 minutes maximum. Failure to complete the course results in immediate dismissal from the program." Ryan's heart hammered against his ribs. 3 years of training had led to this moment. Around him, alien cadets were limbering up, activating personal shields and checking weapons with practiced efficiency. "Begin!" The word had barely left Vasqueath's translator when something extraordinary happened. Emma moved, not toward the course like everyone else, but laterally along the starting line with inhuman speed. Her hand darted to the emergency course control panel that Ryan hadn't even noticed, a maintenance access point meant for instructors only. Her fingers flew across the holographic interface with precision that defied belief. Ryan watched in stunned amazement as she input a rapid sequence of commands, her Academy-issued multi-tool interfacing with systems that should have been locked down tighter than a Meridian's treasure vault. The other cadets had managed perhaps 2 steps toward the first obstacle when Emma's hack took effect. Every single automated system in the Crucible activated simultaneously. Defense turrets swiveled and fired in predetermined patterns. Moving platforms accelerated to maximum speed. Energy barriers flickered through their entire spectrum. Combat drones launched and immediately began executing their most complex attack protocols. But here was the brilliant part. Emma hadn't activated them against the cadets. She'd activated them against each other. The Crucible began consuming itself in a spectacular display of precisely orchestrated destruction. Turrets that should have targeted intruders instead focused on nearby drones. Moving platforms carrying combat robots suddenly shifted direction, sending their mechanical passengers tumbling into energy barriers that had been redirected from defensive positions to offensive ones. Within seconds, the entire 30-minute obstacle course was engaging in an automated civil war. Explosions bloomed throughout the chamber as systems designed to challenge cadets instead tore each other apart with mechanical fury. Emma walked calmly through the chaos, her path taking her along the designated course route. Drones that should have been hunting her were instead locked in aerial combat with each other. Turrets that should have tracked her movement were busy obliterating the very platforms she needed to cross, which had helpfully repositioned themselves to create perfect stepping stones. She navigated deadly energy barriers that were now facing inward, stepped over the smoking remains of combat robots that had destroyed each other, and crossed obstacles that were reconfiguring themselves into convenient pathways as their control systems battled for dominance. Ryan realized his mouth was hanging open when the Vex cadet next to him whistled in appreciation, a sound that his cybernetic voice box translated into something resembling electronic amazement. "Magnificent," hissed Zorthak, his earlier arrogance replaced by professional admiration. Emma reached the finish line and casually pressed the completion button. The timer displayed her result in glowing numerals that seemed to mock the very concept of measurement. 17 seconds. The dying automated systems finally fell silent, leaving the chamber filled with smoke and the scattered remains of what had been the galaxy's most challenging military obstacle course. Instructor Vasqueath stood motionless for a long moment, his crystalline features cycling through colors Ryan had never seen before. Finally he spoke. "Cadet Rodriguez, explain." Emma turned to face the formation of stunned alien cadets, her expression serene. "Sir, you said extra credit would be awarded for creative solutions." The mission objective was to complete the course using any means at our disposal. The most efficient solution was to reprogram the course to complete itself while I walked through. The systems were supposed to be secure, Vasqueath said, though his tone suggested curiosity rather than accusation. They were secure against conventional intrusion, sir. But humans have a tendency to find unconventional approaches. I spent my off hours studying the Academy's maintenance protocols instead of just the combat training. Every system has a weakness if you understand how it was designed. Zorthak's mandibles clicked rapidly. But the course record was based on fighting the course, Emma interrupted politely. I chose not to fight it. I made it fight itself instead. Ryan felt a surge of pride that had nothing to do with romance and everything to do with species loyalty. This was what humans did. While other species perfected their natural advantages, strength, speed, psionics, technology, humans learned to think around problems. Vasqueath's color had stabilized into what Ryan recognized as deep purple, the meridian equivalent of thoughtful consideration. Cadet Rodriguez, your solution, while unprecedented, demonstrates exactly the kind of tactical thinking the elite guard requires. However, you've also just destroyed the Academy's most expensive training facility. Emma's confidence flickered for just a moment. Sir, which means, Vasqueath continued, his crystalline features shifting toward what might have been amusement, we'll need someone with your particular skills to help design the replacement. Consider yourself not just accepted into the elite guard, but fast-tracked into our strategic innovation division. The chamber erupted in a mixture of alien applause, chittering, harmonic whistling, and electronic approval sounds. Ryan found himself grinning as Emma shot him a quick wink before snapping to attention. Later, as they walked through the Academy's corridors, Ryan shook his head in amazement. 17 seconds. You ended a 30-minute course in 17 seconds. Emma shrugged, though he could see the satisfaction in her eyes. Humans don't always win by being the strongest or the fastest, Ryan. Sometimes we win by being the ones who change the rules of the game. Behind them, maintenance crews were already working to clear the debris from what had once been the Crucible. And somewhere in the Academy's design labs, engineers were beginning to puzzle out how to create a training course that could challenge a species that refused to accept that any problem had only one solution. The galaxy was about to learn something important about humans. They didn't just adapt to challenges. They made challenges adapt to them.